Hey, everybody, welcome to the Jim Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series. How's everybody doing today? It's so good to see you guys here joining us for our Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series where we're bringing back the lost art of conversation and doing it in style with over 500 plus episodes with guests coming in from Broadway, Hollywood, television, film, music, stage, culinary arts, sports, comedy, as well as science and nature, health and wellness, inspiration, and you name it. And we've got an amazing guest coming up in just a second, live and direct from Los Angeles, California, a wonderful author who has this incredible book, Time Spent with her friend Marianne, and also the incomparable singer, songwriter, poet, and novelist, Leonard Cohen. Yes, Leonard, Marianne, and Me. It is a very, very impactful book. It goes back to the summer of 73. As a matter of fact, our very special guest, Judy Scott, just returned from the very special, beautiful Greek island in the Aegean Sea that she's going to be telling us about. She was just there days ago. I mean, she just told me seconds ago she's still coming down from the jet lag. That is a long flight. I've been to Greece. I haven't been to this particular island we're going to tell you about, but I have been to Samothrace island on a television shoot, and how beautiful and rugged and raw it is. And we swam in the Aegean Sea. You've probably seen some of those pictures we've posted on Facebook, and that was for a lifestyle travel TV series television shoot. So when you get to some of these islands that are remote and very magical, it's something special, and special things can happen. And that's what happened to Judy. And she writes about it and tells us about it in her book, which is absolutely riveting. I know you guys have been excited about learning more about it. There it is, Leonard, Marianne, and Me. You're going to love this. And we have a lot of photos. We have a lot of cool things we're going to be talking about. But Judy joins us here live on the show again from Los Angeles, California. Before we go into the conversation with Judy, we like to welcome all of you. I'm a very interactive host. You guys know I do this professionally. I work in television and radio during the daytime and sometimes the nighttime and weekends. And it's a crazy schedule when you're in this television radio world professionally. But we're going to greet the audience, which we always do. I love to check in with our viewers, who we call the Lovedies. Actually, they call themselves the Lovedies, which I think is really, really special. And the reason why they call themselves the Lovedies, and again, we have so many new people who are discovering our series, even though we've done 500 plus episodes. The reason why they're called Lovedies is because last year I said the show has a lot of light, love, and levity. And somehow I said Lovedy. It just flew out of my mouth. Talking too fast, ever the New Yorker. And that's where we are here. We're in the northeastern United States, in the New York area, between New York and Boston, along the southern New England coast. So, talk a little fast. And I said, Lovedy. And when the audience heard that with Lovedy, they jumped on it. And they said, we're the Lovedy Squad. You're Mr. Lovedy. And the rest is history. So a lot of levity coming your way today. Give this episode a thumbs up, gang. We would love that. And also leave a comment actually on the YouTube channel as well. That helps us big time. YouTube loves to see that. They take the episode and they blast it out to millions more around the world. And hello to all the lovedies that are watching right now. Good to see you guys. We welcome you. And also, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, home to all these great episodes, all this epic conversation. Again, we don't call these interviews. This is an entertainment lifestyle variety talk show series where we have so many cool things that happen, and a lot of variety and a lot of different things that we do. And we have good conversations as well. So subscribe. We would love that. And it's Jim Masters TV. Of course, that's the channel you're watching right now. And also click the notification bell so that way there you never miss any of our episodes. We do surprise pop-up shows. We do a whole host of cool things. Let's check in with some of the viewers right now live. We welcome everybody who's watching live. We have Toby watching in Encino, California. Good to see you. Toby, she says, howdy, Jim. See, when you try to say Toby and howdy together, you get Toady. Toady Fields, maybe? Anybody remember that name? Good evening, Mr. Lovedy. Good evening, Lovedies. We're on at an earlier time than our traditional time. Sometimes we do shows, we generally do the shows at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, live. However, we have some other bonus shows and extra shows we do at different times of the day. So just go to our YouTube channel, follow our Facebook pages at Jim Masters TV, our YouTube channel, to see the upcoming episodes so you can keep abreast, and click the notification bell when you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you're already subscribed, but you didn't click the notification bell, the little bell icon, do that so you'll never miss the episodes in case they're at different times of the day due to my schedule, the guest schedule, or anything that goes on in the world that changes scheduling. Good evening, Mr. Lovely. Good evening, lovelies, to Linda, and from Linda in Florida. Good to see you, Linda. And Mary is in Florida. We always greet some of our viewers beforehand because this is like a talk show and we want to talk. Hello, Jim and lovely friends. Nice to see you, Mary in Florida. And Sherry Larson in Kansas is here. She says, hello, Jim. And did she say Jim? I added the word Jim. Sometimes I do that, because I'm thinking like 50 different things. We're doing a lot of different things at the same time. And sometimes I add words or I subtract words from what I'm seeing here. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day. And I'll add in that she said, hello, Jim. Even though it doesn't say that, I will say that in my mind that she said, hello, Jim. It's been a very busy day. It's been a very, very busy day. You're having a wonderful day, Linda. That's what we like to see. We like to have a lot of fun. Just so you know, this is not stiff. This is not stale. We have a lot of levity, a lot of fun. This is organic, authentic, and real freestyle conversation on our show. Sherry, lots of hearts coming from Sherry. And I see the hearts. And I think, does it say hello, Jim, too, there? Paul. Hey, Paul Zolo. Fabulous guest on our show. We love him. Hi, everyone. So happy Judy is the guest today, my newest and dearest old friend, and wrote a beautiful book. Yes, Paul, absolutely. And it's so good to see you here. And I know you're a big fan of our series as much as remember the guest appearance that Paul made, gang. Paul was a guest on our show. If you missed that episode, check it out. It was epic. And Sherry says, hi, Jim. So she typed it in. I don't know why I saw that, because there's so many hi Jims. I just sort of, hi Jim, hi Jim. So I just figured it must have said that, even though it didn't say that. But this one says it. Hi Jim and all the lovelies. And I remember Toady Fields. Toady Fields. If you don't know who she is, gang, look at the videos on YouTube. After you subscribe to our channel, look at the videos on YouTube and you'll see she was a prolific, very funny comedian, and Gone Too Soon, and so much more. And we got thunder and rain heavy where you are in Ontario, Canada, huh? It's nice where we are here. It is 66 degrees and sunny. We are here again in the New York area along the southern New England coast between New York and Boston. Fall foliage time here, gang. Really beautiful here in the Northeast United States. Apple picking, pumpkin picking, hay rides. At the time of this show, we're in like late October right now. It's a beautiful place to be this time of the year. Fall foliage, leaves changing, fairs and festivals. And thank God that's coming back, with COVID and everything, that's all coming back. Jane in Sweden. And Jane's happy because she'll be able to go to bed a little bit earlier because we're doing the show a little bit earlier today. Hi, everyone, and Jim. I like the way she separates the and Jim. Hi, everybody, and Jim. Good to see you, Jane, in Sweden, where I know it's still late, even though not as late as it normally would be for you. Merlin in Ontario. Hi, Jim and all lovelies. Internet problems. Hope to stay on. I know she has a lot of internet problems. There's a lot of storms that come through her area there in Ontario. All right, gang. Lots of comments coming in here. Kathleen Walker, I believe, is here as well. Some of these comments go by fast. She goes, hey, Jim. Hi, everyone. Hope you are all well. Hey, and I was very busy today on the air, but we also flipped through the Rachel Ray show, Kathleen, and she was making a rice dish or something. It made me think of the time we were in the studio on the Rachel Ray show. We got to do that again. I was watching it today a little bit and I saw, the segment. And I was like, wow, we got to get back there. And the rice dish that Rachel made today was really delicious looking. It was so delicious. She said she couldn't even think to talk because the aromas were coming up from the burner. Greetings, Jim lovelies and all new lovelies. Welcome, Judy, to the show today. Beautiful autumn days are just starting where you are in North Carolina. Cool stuff. Welcome, everybody. We're going to have some fun. We always have fun. Thanks to everybody watching live, and thanks to those of you who have been sort of discovering the Jim Masters Show live. If you go back in all these episodes, you see so many different guests, different topics, different things, all under the format of our Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series. And what we do is quite special. We put a lot of effort into it, and we're so happy to entertain, inform, and inspire every single one of you, whether we're doing this when you're watching it live or you watch this as one of the faithful viewers who watch in the archives later. We thank you so very, very much. And spread the word, share the levity about our series, as I know many of you like to do. Judy Scott is here. Well, not really here, but virtually she is here. Was a dear friend of Leonard Cohen and her friend Marianne. And of course, Leonard, all I have to do is say the word hallelujah, and you know what I'm talking about. Prolific singer-songwriter and poet and novelist. She wrote this fantastic book, Judy, talking about this wonderful experience. Now, there's a couple of things that I want you to know that are extra special. Leonard Cohen personally gave her his blessing for the book. He loved her. And it's not a kiss and tell. She also loved his lover, Marianne, too, before Judy knew that Judy was a lesbian. She loved Leonard and would sing harmony with him. She is a great singer. These are just some bullet points. The strangest story is about his song Hallelujah and the line about she tied me to a kitchen chair, cut off my hair. Have we piqued your interest yet? I'm sure we have. Judy wrote that Leonard's mom, who was crazy, did that to him and impacted his whole life. And of course, she just returned from Greece where it all happened. That was information just sent to me moments ago by a very special friend. But let me tell you about the book. The book really is very, very special, and you're going to love it. It is a page turner. But again, at the same time, it is, she really opens up about this glorious experience that happened with the three of them in Greece. And it goes back to 1973, where at the age of 27, Los Angeles college student Judy Scott, our special guest, embarked on a trek through Europe. And she wound up spending the entire summer on the Greek island. That's right. I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to keep the suspense until she comes on the air. It's easy to see why she fell in love with this beautiful island, just 11 miles long and 3 miles wide. Its main town consists of 3 steep hills. I wonder if any of you recognize, if you've ever been to where we're talking about, to the left and the right, behind a horseshoe-shaped deep water yacht port, them, which means there's no wheeled transport, not even bicycles. Groceries and luggage are carried by donkey, and so much more. It's an island at once sophisticated and primitive. It's also an island where you can find yourself being fork-fed roasted fish by a man you just met. An incestuous island where it seems like everyone sleeps with everyone at some point, and where many are neither gay nor straight, but rather undecided. And word on the island travels fast. As one local put it, if you want to do anything on this island and get away with it, don't do it for more than an hour. I won't mention the island yet. I'm still going to have Judy do that. But now everybody's going to want to go there. Everybody's going to book flights to this island. Let's take a moment. There's the book there. We're showing you the book because we want you to see the book so you can run out and get it. Amazon, all the usual spots as well. But join me in welcoming live and direct from Los Angeles, California, very, very special guest, Judy Scott, author of this book, Leonard, Marianne and Me. Judy, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Welcome to the show. How are you doing today? We were living in some crazy times in the last 2 years or so, and we've all had to be flexible, and some of us have had to change our lives. And there's been a lot of time of reflection, introspection, and just really looking forward in our lives in ways where we're saying, pun intended, what's the next chapter going to be for us? How's it been for you during this time of reflection and pause?
Well, because I'm retired from my old job, which was in the film distribution business, I was an acquisitions person in the film distribution business, did a lot of traveling, went to the Cannes Film Festival 13 years and Toronto Film Festival 17 years and Sundance Film Festival, Tribeca Film Festival. And I retired in 2014. And so staying home was something that I'm kind of used to. And I was working on the book the whole time. um, it was a little bit disappointing not to be able to go out, and I like shopping and things like that. But it did give me a lot of time to work on this, and it was a lot of work to condense my diaries and journals into a cohesive kind of piece of literature. So we survived. My partner and I survived.
That's fantastic. And it gave you that time to be able, like you said, to put it all together. And this book is relatively new. I mean, it just came out in the summertime, right?
That's right, July 1st.
Congratulations on this. What were some of the inspirations for wanting to put it all down on paper and tell the story of this magical time on this beautiful island? And I'll let you tell us which island it is. I have been teasing them throughout the beginning of the show.
Well, it's actually in the subtitle. So I think if people saw a close up of the cover, they would see that it is the island of Hydra if you don't live there, and Hydra, which is the Greek pronunciation, if you do live there. So for me, it's Hydra. But when I first went there, it was Hydra. And most of the tourists there still use the English pronunciation. I was on my way to Istanbul with a bunch of people that I met in youth hostels, because that's what I was doing, is traveling in youth hostels. And when we got to Athens, one of the it was two guys and two girls that I was traveling with said, let's just go and see one more Greek island, because we'd only been to Corfu. And I said, okay, but try and find one that's close. I don't want to do another overnight ferry. I really want to get to Istanbul. And so they went off to the Greek travel office and they came back and said, here, we found the perfect island. It's only 3 hours. But at that time it was ferry boats, so there were no hydrofoils. Now it's only about an hour and a half. But this is perfect. And they said that it's a little art colony and there are no cars. And it's the only inhabited Greek island that has no cars at all. And for that reason, it was very popular with artists, because the air is very pure. There's no exhaust. There's no gasoline fumes. There's nothing like that. And so it's called Greek light, and it makes painting and sketching and drawing very easy to do, and very easy to recreate the scenery. So we went off there for 3 days, and I did run into a Greek man who the book is actually dedicated to. He was a very dear friend. He's passed on now. A very wealthy Greek man who had a beautiful 17-room mansion on the side of this hillside above the harbor. And yeah, he did kind of invite me over with some friends of his for lunch, and was spoon feeding me fish. I was like, wow, this is really cool. These are kind of interesting people. And then I got invited to come up to the house, and we went up for cocktails after this long lunch. And while I was waiting for them to all shower and change, a knock came at the door, and the maid answered the door, and this lovely blonde woman, very tanned, walked in, and that was Mariana, who was living at that time on and off with Leonard Cohen. We got to talking, and I was like, she said, oh, I lived with this Canadian folk singer. Maybe you've heard of him, Leonard Cohen. I was like, oh my God. I mean, I had all his albums. I was a big, big fan. And I said, oh yeah, I've certainly heard of him. And she said, well, I lived with him for about 11 years. And, if I didn't drive him crazy, he probably wouldn't have written half of those songs. And when I was leaving, she walked me to the door and said, come and visit me in my house. It's very close, and George can show you where it is. And I said, well, I think we're leaving tomorrow, actually. And she just kind of looked me up and down and said, don't leave. This is a very special place, and you should stay here. And I did.
So to be able to do that, what was that like? Because again, recent college grad, and the world was your oyster. Were there any pressing things back in the States that you had to get back to, or did you just say, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity? I mean, look where I am, look at the atmosphere, how unique this is, this may never happen again. I'm creating this wonderful relationship and friendship with these amazing people. Maybe I'll hold on what's going on in the States and stick around here to experience this some more. How did you come to that determination to be able to do that?
Well, it was my second trip to Europe, and it was open-ended. I figured I would stay at least 4 or 5 months. I figured my money would hold out that long. And when I was confronted with this island and these people, and George, his name is George Lialios, the man that I dedicated it to, offered me a room. And, he said, I'm doing some remodeling in my house, and if you want to come and help me, you can stay here. And I thought, this is too good to,
This is amazing.
Yeah. So I stayed all summer.
So the book, has a lot of twists and turns to it. Take us through we don't want to give too much away because we want people to get the book, but take us through the early part of the book and some of the experiences that you had that have still stuck with you today.
Well, the first few weeks, I just kind of hung out and helped George. We went into Athens a number of times to, buy tile and pick out wallpaper and stuff like that. And I felt kind of obligated to stay with him since he was giving me this lovely place to stay. And he wasn't even hitting on me, which was really nice. But once I got close to Mariana, and that happened at her birthday. We had a party at her birthday, and George and I baked a birthday cake and made this big dinner. And something kind of odd happened when I was lighting the candles on the birthday cake. I felt this hand kind of caressing my ankle. I thought, well, this is interesting, because there's really only one person who could be doing this, and that's Mariana, who's sitting right next to me. And I never let on, but after that, I realized that she probably had an interest in me that I didn't understand or didn't get at first. And after that, I really started hanging out a lot with her. And then we got word that Leonard was coming, and I was running out of money, and I was like, oh, I have to go. I can't stay. And then she said, Leonard's coming. You can't leave now, as if anything would have gotten me off that island.
Right.
Yeah. So he arrived, and he welcomed me, and I just spent an awful lot of time hanging out at his house, at their house. It really was both of their house at that time. And he was just so friendly and so open. And Marianne had a son, Axel. Oh, yeah, there he is. And that's his cat. His name was Edward. And I took that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like when you met him? I mean, this is somebody that you admired from afar, and now before you is Leonard Cohen.
I was a little intimidated, but he really was so welcoming and so open and embracing that I wasn't awkward. I just enjoyed the company. And I told him that I did some singing, and he liked singing with other people. So we would, and he was working on a song that became A Singer Must Die. He was working on the lyrics to that. And that's a picture I didn't take, but Mariana gave it to me. And it's all over. If you go on Instagram, that is one of the most popular pictures in the Leonard Cohen pages. And it was taken in 1963 by one of those Greek photographers that used to go and wait for the boats to come in, the tour boats.
Yes.
With everybody, and then put them up on a board. And so when people would get back on the boat, he would charge them, $1 or something for the pictures. And that came through another mutual friend of mine to me, and I still have the original, but it's all over Instagram.
Did Leonard ever say, what was it about that particular island, Hydra, that attracted him to be there, to come to visit and spend time there and have a home there? What was it about that island?
He's given a lot of interviews where he has said that, he was living in London. It was cold, it was rainy, it was wet. Somebody told him there was a Greek island that had a little foreign colony on it. And that was very beautiful and very peaceful because no cars and no transportation. And so he made his way there, and he ran into a fairly well-known Australian couple, George Johnston and his wife, Charmian Clift. There's lots of books, especially in Australia, about them. But they were both published authors, and they kind of took him under their wing, and they let him stay with them at their house for a while. They had 4 children, 3 of which I believe were born in Greece, and they encouraged him to write, and I think they even loaned him a typewriter. But that was what kept him there initially, and it was during that period that he did meet Mariana as well. And her husband was a very well-known Norwegian writer, Axel Jensen, and he fell in love. This happens on Hydra a lot, that you meet other people and you become involved with them. He fell in love with an American painter, and he left Mariana with an 18-month-old baby, Axel, and Leonard kind of came to her rescue. And they were together on the island for at least 5 or 6 years. But he had to leave and go into back to Canada or back into the States to try and sell books, and then later, of course, to try and sell songs and create songs. And it is a really special place. I mean, once you get there, if it's for you, and it isn't for everybody, but if
How do
it's
you describe it? Yeah, the atmosphere, the vibe, and the beauty of this island, this remote island.
yeah, and it's interesting because it's both intoxicating, it's both exciting and very stimulating, but it's also very peaceful. And I mean, it's an ancient place. It's been inhabited for 1,000 years, so you have sort of both vibes going on at the same time.
Wow, that's amazing. So, as this was happening, where you guys were, everybody was meeting everybody and friendships were being formed, um, take us through some of the experiences that really stood out for you during this time. Because again, you had the world, at your fingertips. This is like, you know, it almost sounds like something you would see in a Lifetime movie. It's just so dramatic and so incredible and raw and organic and authentic. Time of your life type stuff, huh?
Well, film rights are available.
So if Lifetime or
But yeah,
Hallmark are listening, yeah, yeah.
I mean, certainly one of the premier experiences was just singing with Leonard and being just embraced in a family way. I mean, I ate dinner with them every night, and I hung out with Axel. We would swim every day. Leonard liked to swim every day as well. He mostly worked in the morning. He got up very early. I was kind of a nighttime person, so I didn't get up until around 11. But just being embraced into that family. I mean, there was a time when Mariana and I were, not fighting, but she would do things to distract me. And we were going to the discotheque one night, and she kind of picked up these 2 Greek guys, and I thought, I don't know why she's doing that. I know she's not interested in these Greek guys. So when we got to the discotheque, I said, "You go upstairs, and I'm just going to go for a walk." And I went around the corner of the harbor, and sure enough, 5 minutes later, she showed up. And I said, "Why do you do that? Yeah, you had no interest in those Greek guys." And she said, "You're so close with all of us. If we had just met, in a foreign city and had an affair or something, that would have been one thing. But you fit in with everybody, with Leonard and with Axel and with me. And sometimes that kind of scares me." And I said, "It scares me too."
Yeah, yeah,
So it was intoxicating, but also kind of intimidating to be that intimate in a family way, not in a sexual way, but in a, just in a little family.
yeah. So the nucleus that was being created.
Yeah,
This is George, right?
that's George in his upstairs terrace garden. Yeah.
Tell us about George.
He was a wonderful man. He had a very interesting life. He was from a well-to-do Greek family from Patras, which is on the western end of the Peloponnese. And during the war, he was in the Greek underground, the partisans. And his father was a composer, a Greek composer, also was a representative of the Greek court. There was a king in Greece at the time in Munich. So George was actually born in Munich, and his first language was German. He didn't actually move to Greece until he was 7 years old. He was absolutely fluent, with no accent whatsoever, in English, French, German, and Greek. And he was just he loved having people around. He loved entertaining. And I was very lucky because his guests that I met that luncheon date were leaving the next day. So, that I was the next person to, kind of hang out and stay with him.
The island has attracted a lot of celebrities over the years as well, like John and Yoko Ono and Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis.
Mm-hmm.
Bay on a Dolphin starring Sophia Loren and Alan Ladd was
Mm-hmm.
shot entirely on the island. So it really has attracted a wealth of artistic, creative people, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a very famous, internationally famous artist named Bryce Martin. The New York Times did an article last year of the 25 living masters, and Bryce Martin was number 14. So, I mean, he's in all of the famous museums and art galleries. And he and his wife Helen, who I knew fairly well, they own 4 houses on Hydra, and they used to go every summer and spend the whole summer there. Again, because it's so good for artists, that particular atmosphere. It's creative, and yet it's soothing and peaceful, and the community is just delightful.
It sounds magical. I think there are more than 25 living masters if you include my family.
How did the New York Times list
How
that?
did they not even? All they have to do is talk with my mother's side of the family. She's the youngest of 16 alone. My mother.
Oh,
You look at everybody the eyes.
yeah.
So there's, but although that's not the master side, my father's side is the master side. They'll have to go back to England and Ireland to trace that. Really, this experience again, and these people that you had an opportunity to really connect with and chat with and just become friends with. Look at this shot here.
That's my daughter.
Yeah, it's
And
beautiful.
we spent 2 months there when she was 6 months old. I actually got pregnant while I was living on Hydra, so they consider her an Hydra baby.
Yeah.
And it was with an American guy. Her father is an American guy. He was doing his junior year abroad from Georgetown University, and we met through mutual friends. He came out. This was in '75. Mariana wasn't there anymore. Leonard wasn't there anymore either. But his second wife, Suzanne, was there with his 2 children. His daughter was only 11 months old in '75, and Adam, his son, was 4. There's a picture of them in the book as well.
That's
But
fantastic. That's beautiful. Has she been back? Has your daughter returned to the island?
it's funny. Yeah. She was there as a baby. Then I didn't go for 6 years. I went back when she was 6 years old. I was a single mother, and just making enough money to get along fairly well, but saving money because I always wanted to go back to Hydra. I've probably been back 20 times, maybe 25. But anyway, she was there when she was 6. We spent a month. And then we pretty much went, that's when I met my partner. So since then, we've been together. We've been together 39 years. And pretty much we went every 2 years after that. We went when she was 8, when she was just turned 11, when she was 14, when she was 17. And then the last time she went was when she was 21. And it was her college graduation present.
Oh, what a beautiful present that is, huh? Wow. sort of full circle in many ways. For folks just joining us, we're talking about this incredible book, Leonard, Marianne and Me, written by author Judy Scott, talking about this incredible time, this magical summer on Ida or Hydra, however you want to call it, in Greece, this beautiful magical island. And you struck up, Judy, this immediate and intimate relationship with Leonard. And for folks just tuning in, we're talking about legendary singer-songwriter Leonard Cohen, originally hailing from Canada, and Marianne. You struck up this relationship, immediate, intimate, with both Leonard and Marianne that first summer, even
Yes.
as the two of them were in the process of splitting up. And in the book, Leonard, Marianne and Me, you actually chronicle the affair, not only with the island, but with Cohen, and especially Marianne, who had lived with Cohen on and off for about 11 years, much of it on that beautiful island, and remained soulmates with him until their death just months apart
Right.
in 2016, right?
That's right. She died in July and he died in the early November. And he wrote a very beautiful farewell letter to her. It actually was an email when she was in the hospital. She went in because she wasn't feeling well for quite some time. And it turned out that she had terminal leukemia. And I mean, she died 2 weeks after she went into the hospital. But she asked a very good friend of hers, Jan Molstad, to get in touch with Leonard. She'd always been in touch with him through emails and let him know that she was terminal. And he wrote a really, really beautiful letter. I know that the London Times published it. It's been published quite a few places where he praises, I loved you for your beauty and your wisdom, but you knew that. And now we are old. And if you just reach out your hand, I think you will feel mine because I will be following you very soon. Good luck down the road. Love, Leonard. And it was, they said that when they read that to her, she reached out her hand, and they felt like this was, a reunification for another dimension, maybe.
The book is really focusing on those two pivotal summers spent on the island, 73 and 75, with nods to the 4 decades of frequent visits. And as I mentioned in the introduction, you just literally came back from the island.
Yes,
And it also contains never before seen photos from your own personal collection. A few we're showing here. And it's a very inspiring story because it's the story of one woman, you, finding herself and embracing her true sexuality with help from one of the most important songwriters of her time and the woman who was his greatest source of inspiration.
hmm
There might be people watching right now who are going to read this book and be very inspired by your authenticity, vulnerability, desire to want to tell the story. Is there an overall hope in terms of what people are left with when they read this book and they read the stories as you have laid them out?
I hope that, first of all, I hope that they're entertained. Most of the feedback that I've gotten is, wow, I want to go to Greece now,
Yes, especially that island.
yeah, especially that island.
Just don't tell your mother you're going.
But I also hope that they do take the transition for me going from Catholic schoolgirl in the,
That's quite
in,
yeah.
in the 60s to accepting, although I loved men and women, I knew that I was more attracted to women. I
Mm.
loved Leonard and I really was crazy about Mariana. And, for her to return that just on an emotional level was so comforting, so inspiring that, that you are who you are and everybody just kind of likes that. They just accept it. So you should accept it yourself. And I think it really helped me to get to that place.
When writing the book, were there any areas that you said, I'm just going to leave that alone? I'm not going to share that. That's too intimate. It's too personal. they're not here right now. I'm just not going to go there. Or were you, did you include everything?
No, there definitely were things. I'll be very honest with you. Someone that I trusted leaked the manuscript. Someone in the film business who said, maybe there's a movie in there. Can you send it to me? And I said, okay, I'll send it to you, but don't show it to anyone. And they leaked it to the Cohen family. This was after Leonard died, and I got contacted by his lawyer and his executor, Robert Corey, a very nice man, who said the family would like you to abridge some, edit some of this stuff that's in the manuscript. And we met for lunch in Culver City, and I said, in our arrangement, I said, would you read the manuscript so that I'll know what we're talking about
Yeah.
in terms of the editing? And he said, sure. And when I met him, I said, did you read it? And he said, I did. And I said, what did you think? I was really prepared for, this, this could be the beginning of the end. And he said, I never met Leonard at the age that you depicted him. I met him much later. He was his legal representative when Leonard's manager had embezzled all this money from him, and he had to take her to court. And he said, you've really given me a wonderful picture of who that person was when he was in his late 30s. And I really like it. In fact, I like it so much, I'm setting up a literary archive at the University of Toronto, and I'd like to include your manuscript, whether or not it gets published in that archive. So there's only 2 very small pieces that the family would like you to remove. And I agreed that, and it wasn't actually neither one of them. Well, one of them was about Leonard and a conversation that we had. And one of them was about Suzanne, his the mother of his children. And they were very small areas, instances in the book. And I said, yeah, I'll take them out. And I did. And there's a lot of other stuff. I mean, Hydra in the 70s, it was, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, big time. So there were other things that I left out.
The book itself, do you have the book there with you?
I do.
Is there any? Yeah, there it is. It's beautiful. I love that. Tell us about the cover and the design of the cover.
Well, my publisher did it. I had nothing to do with it. But I think it turned out beautiful. This photo was actually taken on Leonard's terrace by Leonard. So he took that picture of me. I was taking the pictures of him that you can see, and with my little Kodak camera. And
yes, did it have the flash cube where you had 4 flashes and then you had to replace it with another cube on top?
I have one of those.
You brought it to Photomat to deliver it, to have it printed.
I have one of those little, timers that you could twist, like 30 seconds, you got to time your picture.
And if it was blurry, it was blurry. You didn't know until they were developed.
The publisher was really lucky because they're not 300p, a lot of them, or 300 bits per inch or whatever.
Yeah.
He was like, no, we've got to use them anyway because they're so good. They're
Right.
so indicative of that whole area and that whole time. So I was lucky that they were able to use them.
Is there anything we don't want to give everything away, but is there a passage or anything from the book that you'd like to read for our audience watching right now? The Lovities?
I don't know if I can find it, but there is a passage where Marianne and I were in Leonard's studio. It was before he came, and it's a very simple studio with a desk and a chair right in front of a window, and the window overlooks the pathway to the house. And she told me that when he was working on a song, they were stringing these electric lines on electric poles. And Leonard said to her, we have to leave. Modernity is coming to the island. And prior to that, it was gas lamps and candles, and there were no electric lights at all, no electricity at all. And he said, we'll have to find another island because, I don't want to be, I wanted to get away from that. And as they were talking, a bird came and sat on the telephone wire. And Mariana said to him, if the bird can get used to the wire, Leonard, you can get used to the wire. And
Mm.
that was, he admitted that was the inspiration for Bird on a Wire, which she said was always more of her favorite song, even than So Long, Marianne, that he wrote for her, because she really felt like she had contributed to it. And the other passage, which also has to do with lyrics in his song, in one of his songs, there's a very famous song called One of Us Cannot Be Wrong that he wrote while they were broken up, because they broke up a lot of times and got back together. And the passage, though, is really simple. And I know it's been over analyzed. And, I think there's like 4 books out or maybe more on Leonard Cohen's lyrics and the references and the religious symbolism and the sexual symbolism and all of that. But the first chorus of it, the first stanza of it goes, "I lit a thin green candle to make you jealous of me. The room just filled up with mosquitoes. They heard that my body was free." And I've seen lots of interpretations of that. But if you lived on Hydra in 1973, you had to get these coils. They were mosquito coils. They were like incense coils. And they were thin and round and green. And you would put them on at the beginning of when you were going to sleep at night. And then they would burn all night long. Because every house on Hydra has a cistern, and the cisterns have water that it catches from the rain. And
Right.
you can't seal them. They just have wooden hatch covers on them. Perfect mosquito breeding places. So I'm sure there were other references, but I'm pretty sure that when he talked about thin green coils and mosquitoes, he was talking about nothing more than trying to keep them away from you at night.
That is amazing. Did it ever feel like, I mean, it's an extraordinary story, and you literally, transport us to that time on that beautiful island, young love, there's just so much going on. And here you are, originally from New Jersey, right?
That's right.
And here you are on this Greek island, nothing that you could have probably even imagined. And you're with these people who welcome you into their lives, Marianne and Leonard Cohen. And did it ever feel like it was a triangle? Was it ever, like there's 3 people that, or were you just instantly welcomed, or was it ever a situation where you ever felt like you were in between them, or he was in between you guys, or any of that during
No,
the time?
no, that was what was really special about
That's
it.
very special and rare. Yeah.
Very much so. When I first met him, when I walked in the kitchen the day that he arrived, Mariana said, "I want you to meet my new very best friend. She's really great and really special, and don't try and steal her from me." And he just laughed. No, that was what was really special for me about it, is that there was no tension at all. I was just embraced in a family unit and had individual relationships with each of the persons, including Axel, who was a wonderful young guy, who unfortunately came to a not a bad end, but a bad existence, I guess you could say. He's been in a mental hospital for about over 30 years. But that was the time of like beginnings and endings, I guess. And for me to be a witness to it was incredibly special. And there was never any tension or jealousy or rivalry involved at all.
Which is right. Yeah, most people would think there would be over time, but not. Really, really, truly amazing. What was a typical day like, or was there not a typical day? Was everything whatever it was? Was there structure to it? Things that had to be done? It almost sounds just so relaxed and freestyle. And what was a typical day like for the 3 of you?
Well, I would get up and have breakfast with George, and then go down to the house around noon. Um, we would go shopping because the shops all closed on Hydra. They don't anymore, but they did back then in Greece. From 1 o'clock in the afternoon till 5 o'clock in the afternoon, everything stopped, all commerce. That was the quiet time. You didn't call anybody up, and you didn't go and visit anybody during that time. And it was the heat of the summer too. I mean, this was July and August. So one of the reasons, even in Athens, offices would shut down. Everybody shut down for a very long lunchtime period because there was very little air conditioning, even in Athens. And so it was just too hot. So we would shop in the morning and then bring it to the house, and then we would go down and swim. Leonard would get up very early, 6:37, and he would work probably 4 or 5 hours. And then he would go swimming with us. Then when we go back up to the house, I would go back up to George's house for a nap. And then I'd go back down and help make dinner and have dinner. Mariana and I often would go out. There was just a brand new disco called Kavos, which was very popular, way up on the top of the very beginning of the harbor, on a hill. It was dangerous to even have to walk up it, especially if you were drinking. But
Yeah.
but Leonard very rarely went out, socialized as much as we did. But it was such a nice group of people. He knew all of the people. I mean, Anthony Kingsmill was a very talented artist and one of Leonard's best friends, and became a very good friend of mine. There was George Slater, who was a poet and an absolute madman, but I feature a number of them in the book. And George had a long affair with Mariana during one of her breaks with Leonard, before me and before I met either of them. So it was, there was very little exclusivity to their lives. After about the first 4 or 5 years, I think both of them engaged in other affairs with other people, and they were aware of that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't exactly describe it an open marriage, but it was just a product of that time.
What about when you had to go back to the United States at some point? What was that like? That must have been, maybe gut-wrenching. You're in this incredible, it's almost like a fantasy in a way. You couldn't script what was going on.
Yeah.
You couldn't dream of something like this, yet it was real life at the same time in this beautiful location in Greece at the Aegean Sea. We were just talking about how beautiful that is, just really something. Going back to, you talk about that in the book as well, going back to the United States and having to deal with, some of the things that you had to go back to. Tell us about that. Was that a very difficult transition for you? I mean, obviously, raising your daughter and everything.
Well, in '73, I didn't have a daughter yet, but
Right.
Leonard actually, I left because I was running out of money, and I flew to Paris. And then a really incredible, and this is an Hydra moment, or it's just an Hydra phenomena. But I was running around Paris with friends of mine. One of them was going with his family to Greece. He was going to drive to Greece. He was a doctor. And we went to the Greek travel office and got some brochures and stuff. And then he wanted, me to tell him all the stuff I knew about Greece. And then we went out to dinner, and they put us at a table with two Frenchmen. And we had all these brochures on the table in front of us. And one of the Frenchmen said, do you like Greece? And I said, yeah, I just came from there, actually. And he said, where do you stay? And I said, well, I stayed on one of the islands. And he said, which island? And I said, Hydra. And he said, I know Hydra. Do you know Mariana? And I said, who are you? I mean, it was really shocking to me. And he said, I'm Jean-Marc, who was also one of her very big love affairs for a very long time. And she was, he was wildly in love with her. So I knew who he was because she showed me pictures of him only the week before. And out of, the 3 million people in Paris, I had to sit down at his table
Wow.
less than a week after I left her. So that was kind of magical. And he went on to Hydra. I went on to England to see some friends, borrowed some money, and said, I'm going back. And I wrote to her and said, what would you think if I came back? And she said, yes, come back. Seeing Leonard and I here and now, it would be perfect if you came back. So I did go back. But in the meantime, Leonard left and Jean-Marc arrived. And so things were very different. Just typical Hydra drama. But there were no more. There were no more long walks. There were no more long talks. There were no more dinners or anything like that. The last 3 weeks that I was there, and Jean-Marc was living again with Marianne at the house.
Your family back home in the United States, New Jersey and elsewhere, when you went to the island initially and said, I think I'm going to stay here for a while, folks, what was the initial reaction from the family? Were they very supportive, or were they like, what are you doing? You don't know these people. I mean, sometimes the family may be very concerned when somebody's going off to another place, another side of the earth, and they're staying there. What was the familial reaction?
Oh, my mother was, my parents were divorced. My mother was fairly resigned to the fact. I mean, first of all, I had been living out in California. She was still in New Jersey.
New Jersey,
yeah. So I went to college out in California. I did want to explain that I was 27 when I finished, but it wasn't because I was a slow learner. It's because I had to keep quitting and working to get the money to go back to college. And this was my second trip to Europe. So I'd already quit once to do a European adventure. I loved traveling. I loved being in Europe. I loved all of the history and, all of the museums. I loved the company of, I mean, this incredible circuit of travelers who, that was for me. It's probably a robocall, honestly. I get
You have a little bit of there's a reflection on your face.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit there. There you go. Yeah, probably leaning back a little bit's better.
Yeah.
So now you know if you call the Scott home and you're trying to sell aluminum siding, you're not even going to get a hello, folks. So don't even bother. Don't even bother. She's on the Jim Masters show live. That person obviously is not a lovety. They are not a lovety to be calling you, unless it is maybe family.
Probably not. But yeah, so I didn't get any flack at all from, I was 27 too. I mean, it wasn't like I was 17. But I was just going to stay until my money ran out. And that's pretty much what I did. And,
that's a whole story too, in terms of what you were talking about, putting yourself through school, having these adventures. And then when the money would run out, you would work and do things you need to do to get money to be able to continue to do the things that Judy wanted to do.
Right.
That's a very empowering story of inspiration and strength and resilience. Where does that, even separate from the Greek island and Leonard and Marianne and everything else, just you, Judy, as a person, that is a very empowering feature of who you are. Where do you think that strength and resilience and that not giving up and I'll find a way to make this happen again and again comes from for you?
I think it probably comes from my mother, Irish Catholic woman, a big family. I have 32 first cousins, so it's a big family.
Yeah.
Not quite as big as the 16 on your side, but
the Irish Catholic, right? The English Irish Catholics, my father's side of the family, New York area. Yeah. So
yeah, she is, I mean, she's 96 now, but she's still around. And she was a very strong woman. My father was an alcoholic from the war. I know there's a little sequence in the book that I talk about my father and his struggles with alcohol and the reasons for it. I mean, he was shot down in the Pacific during the war, during the Second World War. And so they had a very acrimonious relationship for a really long time. And my mom was pretty much the strong person in the family that kept it going. So I think I probably took after her.
Juanita, I think it's Juanita, said when you picked up the phone, she says that was great reflexes. She did that without even missing a beat or stumbling on a word.
Usually I check out the LED, the LED on it to see who it is, but I get 5 or 6 robocalls a day, so I'm used to doing that.
Do you miss the East Coast? You're there in LA on the West Coast. Do you miss the East Coast? I imagine this time of the year with the fall foliage and everything, probably.
I go back at least twice a year.
Do you?
My mom's still there. Yeah, my sister's still there.
And you said your mother's 96?
Yeah.
God bless her.
Good,
Wow.
good genes. I'm hoping.
Yes, that's fantastic. What's her first name?
Her first name is Mary.
Mary. Wow. Well, of course, Irish Catholic. Of course, there's Mary. You must have Marys and Kathleens and all of that in your
Yes,
family.
absolutely.
Josephs and that
Yes.
is amazing. Do you see another book? Do you see more from Judy Scott in terms of writing and doing more like this?
Yeah, I am working on something that's, I mean, it doesn't have the cachet of, Leonard Cohen, but just a family history, a family story. I know that Tolstoy says every happy family is the same, and every unhappy family is unhappily different, and ours encompassed all of that. So I have thought about writing something a little bit more personal and seeing what happens.
What has the book is just out, and again, congratulations on it, Judy. I know it's been a labor literally of love. What has been the reaction so far? I know Paul, our mutual friend Paul Zollo, did a brilliant review, and that is absolutely spectacular. What are some of the other, and that's an American Songwriter magazine. Tell us about some of the other responses from, folks who are in the industry, but also just the public at large to this book so far.
Well, I'm one of the to be very honest, one of the disappointments in my pursuit of this is that I haven't gotten a lot of trade reviews, and they really count for a lot. Publishers Weekly, and uh, the other library journal. I was reviewed in the library journal. It wasn't a great review, but it wasn't a bad review. But people that really knew Leonard, I mean, there's a man named Jim Devlin. He's a British guy, academic. He's written 3 books on Leonard Cohen. He's actually helping Robert Corey, Leonard's executor, set up this archive right now, even as we speak. And through a Facebook friend who has a Leonard Cohen Facebook, Alan Showalter has a very popular Facebook page for Leonard Cohen called Dance Me to the End of Love. And he said, look, you got to send this to Jim Devlin because he is the world's expert on everything Leonard Cohen. And he's written 3 books. And so I sent it to him, a digital copy, with some trepidation because he's the world expert. And he got back to me like the next day, the same way that Leonard did when I sent it to him, responded just the next day. And Jim Devlin said, Judy, I haven't read a full book in one sitting since I was 4 years old until I got yours.
Since I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he said, I just, there's so much I could say about it, but I'm going to go to bed now. It's 10:30 at night in England. And I'll just finish with this. Judy, your book is wonderful. And I thought, wow, I mean, for somebody who's like really totally invested in Leonard's life and chronology and writing and
to sort of pass that test. Yeah.
I was really inspired by that, really gratified. And Leonard was very much the same line. I was going to join with a bunch of people who were going to put together a series of memoirs, 30, 40-page memoirs and recollections and diaries of their time on Hydra. And I was asked by this man named Kevin McGrath, who also lived on Hydra for a while and teaches at Harvard, if I would join. And I said, well, I will, but I have to clear it with Leonard first, because the only thing that Leonard asked me when they did invite me into their home was, promise you won't write about us. And I did promise that. And I thought, I want to get a dispensation from that promise, but I won't do it unless Leonard says it's okay. So I sent him my manuscript, and the next day he wrote me back an email that said, Dear Judy, thank you for sharing this very fine piece of work for which I have no objections whatsoever.
Wow.
And he said, I deeply admire the honesty and detail of the piece. So I thought, well, maybe I've got something here.
Maybe you've got something there. Yes.
That is really what inspired me to take it from the 65 pages I sent him to the 250 pages that it is now.
What was the writing process like? Was it very therapeutic, emotional, cathartic to go back? We're talking about a number of decades later now, and to tell the story. Were you reliving it as you were writing it?
I was, but I think it was really quite joyous. I found the writing arduous. I will, like a
Yeah,
lot of writers. Oops.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
it's
You're right there in the middle. Yeah. Oh, you're trying to fight the sun, right?
I am. It's
That
coming in
maybe,
my
maybe,
eyes.
maybe that's Leonard's angel coming in the
Oh,
window.
there you go, right there, beam of light.
Right across you.
Yeah.
Right. That's
But
it. So the
it
writing process, the actual writing is arduous. Did you do it
yeah.
all yourself, or was there anybody else, a ghostwriter,
No, no.
anybody involved?
I actually had a really good editor. His
The
name is
editor.
Robert Morgan Fisher. He's a musician. He's the one who introduced me to Paul Zalo. And I was introduced to him by a very good friend of mine who runs a spoken word theater. It's called Word Theater in Los Angeles, who knows everybody. Her name is Cedering Fox. And she was with me when I saw Leonard for the very last time, which was in 2009. I had gotten a hold of a camera that a mutual friend of ours had left on Hydra. And this friend, Hazel, called me and said, would you take it over to Leonard? Because he has a house guest who's going to be flying back to Montreal tomorrow. And I said, sure. And she said, but Leonard's very private. So if he doesn't answer the door, just leave it on the porch. And I said, okay. And so I took it over with Cedering. We were going to a party. And I just knocked on the door, and Leonard came out and gave me a big hug and said,
Mhm.
I said, wow, it's been a long time. And he said, yeah, come on in. And I said, well, I have a friend downstairs in the car. And he said, well, bring her up. And so I went and said, he wants to meet you. And so we went up, and we spent about a half hour with him. We had some retsina, we had some hummus and crackers, and we reminisced a little bit. And I
Mm.
reminded him of a drunken night that he and Anthony Kingsmill and I went out singing and drinking. And Anthony would always get me to sing Danny Boy. That was his favorite. And he knew that I knew both verses. And we ended up at Leonard's house. Mariana was in Athens. And I just crashed in one of the bedrooms. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, they both came in and were like, Judy, sing Danny Boy one more time. And I was like, you guys are crazy. But I
You mean
remind
he didn't go, Judy, Judy, Judy?
but I reminded Leonard of that, and he said, yeah, I think I remember that. And I said, it was really a magical time, wasn't it? And he said, yes, it was.
Yeah, absolutely, positively. Yes, very much so. And you've documented it in such a beautiful way. Got a couple more photos here to show. Take us through some of these.
Yeah. Well, you can see right behind Axel's uh, right side, that's Mariana. You can just see some of her hair and
Oh,
her arm
yeah.
and her leg. And we were just goofing around. They were goofing around. They pulled their zippers down, but you couldn't really see anything. But I cropped it
I was
anyway.
going to say you cropped that one.
I definitely cropped that one, yes.
Mm,
But yeah, it was a very light-hearted time. That was her birthday, and that is George Lialios' terrace.
yes,
I
we have
brought her,
that.
brought
And
her flowers, and that's me in the hat.
you're
Um,
on the right, and Marianne on the left.
mhm.
And again, all of you maintained communication over the years.
We did. I talked to Leonard a number of times on the phone once I got back in 73. I went and saw him at the Bottom Line in New York in 74 and went backstage. And I had these pictures with me. So I was showing him the pictures that I had taken. And he spent a lot of time just staring at that one and the other one that I sent you of Mariana. But it was pretty much, I said that I was there the very last time in 73. Now that's in 2013 when I saw her again. That's on Hydra at a gallery opening that we went to on Hydra. And I mentioned that in 73 was the last time that Leonard and Mariana spent in that house together. After that, although they stayed in touch, he went back to Suzanne. His son was already born. His daughter, was born the next year, and they were never together as a couple after that. So I was there at the end of that chapter.
Mm.
There it is. That's the one that he stared at for a really long time. And it's an interesting picture too, because she's almost completely in the shadow, and yet she looks very exposed in that shot. So he stared at it for about 30 seconds and then gave it back to me and said, thank you for sharing.
Do you have a pie in the oven that needs to come out with those dings?
I think those are my notifications that I got text messages.
Everybody's watching. They're giving you thumbs up, which is awesome. Yes.
So that's Suzanne, and that's Adam, who was 4, and that's in the port of Hydra, sitting eating in the port.
What year was this one? Was it 70?
75.
That is 75. Wow. That's a great shot as well. Cool stuff here. And yeah, these are great photos. These are just some that you've shared, just some of what's in the book there.
That's me. That's in 82 at a place called Three Brothers, which is a little taverna that we used to all hang out at. There were only 2 tavernas that stayed open in the wintertime, that stayed open after this tourist season, and that was one of them. So my partner took that one.
How did having this experience change your life and the trajectory of your life? Did you ever, I'm sure you have, said, gee, if I didn't experience that, this wouldn't have happened. That might not have happened. I might not have thought about that. I might not have experienced that. It's probably a number of things that you reflect upon that are illustrated in this incredible book that were life-changing, that are still with you today.
Oh, without a doubt. I know I mentioned in the preface that, we all have seminal events or seminal experiences in our lives. And certainly that first summer on Hydra was that for me. It was a change in that it gave me confidence in myself that I hadn't had. It gave me confidence in my sexuality and in my acceptance of the way things were in my life. And it also gave me Hydra, which has stayed in my life literally to this very day, because I was there a week ago. And it gave me a lot of relationships with very incredible people, very talented, creative people. Not just Leonard, but certainly he was the vanguard of those connections, and I love it. I love that I still go there. I love that there are people there that I've known for 40 years.
Well, that's great. So you stay in touch with them.
Yeah,
that's wonderful. When you go back, like you literally, for the viewers watching, you literally just landed not that long ago, and the jet lag is just starting to wear off for you in California, the time differences and everything. What is it like each time you go back? Do you feel further and further from that initial time, or do you feel closer and closer to it?
I don't think I've ever felt at all alienated or unfamiliar, because it is such an old place. It has changed a lot. There's all these frou-frou places now. I mean, we didn't have a linen tablecloths or anything like that.
Yeah.
It wax paper and things. There are several changes that I know the natives are not that crazy about. It's really become a very high-end vacation place. A lot more tourists come and stay. When I lived there, the tour boats would come in and everybody would run around. All the tourists would run around for 2 hours. They were doing 4 islands in one day. So they would go to Aegean, which is the first one closest to Athens, then to Poros, which is the next island over into the sea, and then to Hydra, and then end up at Spetsi, which is the very last in the Saronic Gulf island chain. And so we'd all sit there watching them run through the port and buy worry beads and souvenirs and take donkey rides. And then at night, the boats would be gone. And there were very few hotels on Hydra. So there weren't a lot of long-term tourists. There was, there was just the expat community, and oh dear, I'll sit back now. But
That's
I
it.
don't know, maybe Leonard
You've
tell me.
traveled far. You have every right to lean back in your chair. You've earned it.
Thank you.
But so you still feel every time you go back there, when you go back there and the plane lands each time, are you brought back to that time and place each time?
Yeah, I really am. I can get by in Greek, which is kind of nice, and especially now that I hardly remember my own name sometimes.
Right.
I still remember some Greek, which is kind of neat. But Athens is the same. I have two very dear friends who live in Athens, both of them Greek. Well, John Zervost is half Greek and half British, and he runs a school in Athens called the Athens Center, and they recruit from U.S. universities. They bring them over there, a whole class, and they do Greek literature, Greek architecture, Greek history, and then they get college credit for it at Yale, Harvard, Notre
Mm.
Dame. He does them all. And I had dinner with him, so there are old friends that I still see when I go there, and that makes there a certain continuity. Um, and Facebook, of course, keeps me in touch. There's a lot of
Sure.
Hydra pages on.
Yes, absolutely. Well, really an amazing story. And we encourage folks to get the book. Now, the book right now, again, it's brand new just this summer at the time of this show. Again, we're live. If somebody's watching this 5 years from now, then you can just grab it anyway. But you can grab it now. Amazon and all those types of places. Is
It's
that where
in
people can get
Barnes
it?
and Noble.
Barnes and Noble.
It's in 67 different Barnes and Noble bookstores, but you can also get it at barnesandnoble.com, target.com, walmart.com. And I try and encourage people, if they do patronize a local bookstore, they'll order it for you, because local bookstores really need the
They
business.
need the help.
Yeah.
Yes, more than ever. How did you know when to, which can be hard, uh, put the last period on the last sentence with it, the book?
Um, it was It was actually 2 years after both Leonard and Mariana died, although I end the book in 2016 with their deaths. We've actually lost several very dear friends from Hydra, Rick Vick, and a couple of others since then. And I was interviewed by Nick Broomfield. He did the documentary, Mariana and Leonard, Words of Love. And I was interviewed by him for 4 hours. But I got an agent, which I was very fortunate to get, a literary agent. And so she encouraged me to, first of all, present more material, second of all, condense some material, and then just get it done. So, we can get it out there. And we were very lucky to get Backbeat Books to pick it up.
And hope for a movie or something along those lines, telling the
Yeah,
story. That would be
always. Yeah. I mean, my life was in movies for 25 years. It,
yes.
it would be great to do a movie.
There's somebody here that was listening who's sort of my sidekick who thoroughly enjoyed this. And he wishes that of all the things that he did, he got a chance to go to Hydra. But he was so busy in vaudeville and hanging around with Gracie, Mr. George Burns, in the house.
Hey, George.
And he says, "Take me to Hydra, stat." He's got his cigar. Could you imagine if George Burns had visited Hydra, what that would have been like? It would have shook the place up.
He probably would.
He said, "You knocked it out of the park, kiddo," and he enjoyed the time with you as well. This was fantastic. We chatted for almost an hour and a half, and it never feels like that. We always make it, conversational, and this is really something. I mean, you've really opened up, and you've brought people to a different time and place, but there's various elements that could be very relatable in certain ways to people and their own lives, even today. Do you think what you experienced in the 70s could happen again? Not necessarily you, but for others out there? Or was that that was just that time, that place that was then. The world has changed so much now. Was there something about that time period in history that enhanced the scenario that you experienced?
I think that each generation comes to its own time, and certainly those kind of magical moments, they might not all happen on Hydra, or they might not all happen in Greece, but I think they're available if your mindset is that I'm going to go out and see the world, and be open to all kinds of different experiences. I think you can still get that. I would hate to think that that could never happen again to anybody. I think it was you know it was a special time and place, but it can happen again.
Sherry Larson, watching in Kansas, says, "Thank you, Judy, for joining us and talking about your experience. Your book sounds so interesting. Can't wait to read it." Just, the Loveties on the Jim Master Show Live are very proactive, and they're probably ordering it right now. I don't doubt.
I
Paul
hope so.
Zillow. Oh, absolutely. Paul is here, as we mentioned. He's been watching along. Our dear mutual friend, Paul, who was also a guest on our show, folks. Go back in the archives and see when Paul was my special guest on the Jim Master Show Live. We had an epic, epic conversation with Paul. He's a beautiful spirit as well. He says, "Beautiful job, Jim. You're a generous and gifted interviewer. You honor your guests and ask great questions. I learned a lot about Judy, about her book. Judy was great. Mazel tov. Big love." Thank you very much, Paul. I really appreciate those words. Juanita says, "Very interesting conversation. Thank you, Judy, for spending time with us and sharing your stories." Juanita is watching in South Africa.
Wow.
Mary's watching in Florida. Great conversation. Thank you for sharing your experience, Judy. Book looks wonderful. Take care. Merlin in Ontario, Canada. The old stopping grounds was what? Toronto, Montreal for Leonard, right? Montreal, Leonard Cohen. So Merlin, Canada's own. Thanks, Judy. Was awesome meeting you. Good luck on the book about a great singer. Maybe she's thinking about a book on Leonard himself,
Oh
possibly.
yeah.
She also wanted to know where, when you go to the island, where do you fly into? Do you go to Athens and then take another small? When we went to Samothrace, which is only 7 miles from Turkey, we had to fly in. I think we flew into Germany first, or Amsterdam, and then to Athens, and then we went to Andropouli, and then we took a ferry, which was 90 minutes from there, the mainland of Greece, into the Aegean Sea to Samothrace Island. And then when we came back, we went to Thessaloniki, which was another fantastic place as well.
I love Thessaloniki.
Oh, isn't that a great place?
I was
Wow.
invited to be a guest at their international film festival 2 years in a row, which was
Wow.
great because they paid for everything, and
It's just a beautiful experience, right? And it's a
fabulous.
lively city. It's very
Very
cultured, lively, great bakeries, and we sampled a lot of the food there too. Everybody friendly, and I remember I had posted some pictures from our television shoot, and it was work and play, and people from Thessaloniki themselves saw the photos, and then they were just commenting, "Oh, we love it. Come back, you American, come back to Greece." It was fantastic. Christine says, "Judy, what you've shared with us today is very fascinating. I'm sure your book is even more so. Thanks for sharing your incredible life stories with us. The photos were amazing as well. Lovely, Judy." And that's Christine in North Carolina. Jen Barry in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Judy, come on back to Jim's show. Fun night.
Thank
Really
you.
fantastic. Yeah, the Loveties squad here, our viewers watching live, and those who will watch later in the archives are enjoying themselves and fascinated by the story, and again, your authenticity. I hope the show met whatever expectations you had, Judy, and that you enjoyed the time with me as much as I certainly have with you.
You made it go by very quickly, and I was worried, like, I don't know if I can fill a half hour, but this was great.
You did good. Like George Burns said, you knocked it out of the park, kiddo. It was really, really fantastic hearing your story. And again, I know a lot of people are going to want to get the book, and we encourage them to do that. Let's show them that book one more time. There it is. Beautifully done. I love that bottom photo too.
That's Hydra. It's
That
very characteristic, and I was so pleased with the design firm that the publisher found to do this.
If people are trying to like visualize on a map the location, what is it like? Samothraki is about 7 miles away from Turkey in the Aegean, North Aegean Sea. What's the map positioning of that island?
Let me see if I can do this. Okay, so the Peloponnese kind of looks like this, and Athens is just above it here. Hydra is right off the thumb. So it's right here. It's only on a very, very clear day. If you're on one of the hills on Hydra, you can see all the way into Athens.
Wow.
So it's 4 miles off the coast of the Peloponnese, which is a peninsula.
Right.
And literally it's only about 35 nautical miles from Athens. And you see the lights of Athens. Someone just put up a picture on one of the Facebook pages of Athens as seen from the top of one of the hills in Hydra last week.
Jen Barry in Pennsylvania was asking, Judy, what size plane do you fly to the island on? The normal big planes or the smaller Piper Cubs? She loves planes.
There are no landing strips on Hydra. You can take a helicopter. You used to be able to take a helicopter and they would land it at the football field of the high school. But there's no planes at all.
It's by boat, right?
It's by boat.
It's by ferry or boat. Right,
yeah.
Exactly. Kathleen says, great show. Thanks for being here, Judy. Kathleen in New York City and Jane in Sweden. Thanks, Judy. This was interesting. Good stuff, Judy. Thanks for all of the time. We really appreciate that. Continued success with the book. Let's definitely stay in touch. It was a pleasure having you on the show and wishing you continued blessings and joy in your life.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm a lovity now, so what can I say?
How does that feel? I mean, there are, as I say to the guests, there are Emmys and Tonys and Grammys and Tellys and Oscars. But when you get designated a lovity on the Jim Masters Show Live, how does it feel?
It feels great.
Are your feet tingling? That's usually what the guests say happens. This feet start tingling.
Feet and fingers. Yeah, like my whole body's tingling.
Then that means I did my job. And we didn't have to go to Hydra for that to happen. Virtually. You're the best. Thanks, Judy. As we say to all the guests, now go stretch those legs, get the circulation going.
I'm gonna go have a beer.
You're going to have dinner now?
Yeah, I'm going to go have a beer.
Oh, you're going to have a beer? What kind? This is a foodie crowd, so anything, drink, food, they love it.
Well, I do sometimes drink Stella, but I'm just going to have a Bud Light.
Very Americano. And you're going to have some dinner too?
Oh, yeah.
And of course, they want to know, this foodie crowd, what are you going to have?
Spaghetti and meatballs and sausage.
Once again, I love it. Straight shooter. I'm going to have a beer and I'm going to spaghetti and meatballs and sausage, and that's it.
That's it.
I love it. I love it. They also love the chair that you're in. We have this whole running thing. So, yeah, there it is. They love it.
It's a desk chair and it's comfortable.
There's a whole thing to it. We've had many times where guests have had to get up and leave their chair to go get the Oscar or go get the book or again, the cat. You have a dog that's right below you, right? That's there sleeping.
He still is. Madison.
You slept through all this. They love the animals too. So sometimes a cat will come in or a child will come in or something along those lines. And there it is. There's the chair. Now, yeah. So who do we have there?
Growling at herself. She thinks that's
sees herself.
She doesn't realize it's her. Oh, that's you, you silly thing.
You got to give her some lovity training, right? So she sees the reflection of herself in the screen and thinks that there's another dog like right there. That's funny when they see the reflections of themselves. That is very funny. Yeah. Look, Sherry says, "Aw." They love that. And you got a beer mug coming from Juanita, and big love to everyone from Paul. And we love that. And cheers from Jane in Sweden, and cute puppy from Jen Barry in Pennsylvania. Mary says, "Oh, what a cutie." Juanita says, "Oh, cutie dog." See, what happens is whenever you put a cat, a dog, a bird, a turtle, a fish, anything on, you and I are now second class.
Oh, yeah.
The animal is now the star,
Right.
the pet. And Paul says, "Bravo. Thank you, lovelies, for all the love for Judy. She's great. So cool. The beautiful love for her and Leonard. I'll have a beer too. I know if we weren't all so far away, we'll have to do that. We'll have to, if you're on the East Coast or I'm on a TV shoot or something on the West Coast, we'll have to toast,
That'll be great.
That would be fantastic to do that. And Judy, you are now a lovely." And Christine Clifton says, in North Carolina, my mother, Judy, wanted both Jim and Judy to know she thoroughly enjoyed this interesting conversation today. My parents lived in Europe in the 1970s, about the same time frame. Thanks for your time. Very beautiful.
Thank you.
Good stuff. And Merlin in Canada says, an arg growl back at you. You take care, my friend. Thanks for all the time, and thanks for joining us on the show once again. And it was really, really a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
I had a great time.
You take care, okay? Thanks for being with us on the show, and spread the word about the show. We'd love that.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care, Judy.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Judy Scott, live and direct from Los Angeles, California. A wonderful author. Again, let's show you that book. I know everybody's going to want to run out and get it. Yes. Mariana, of course, she talked about Leonard Cohen, the famous Leonard Cohen that you knew and loved so much. Hallelujah. And much, much more. And the book is Leonard, Marianne and Me, Magical Summers of Hydra, or if you're here on this side of the Atlantic or Pacific, Hydra. But Judy Scott was with us, and we really appreciate that. You learned something new, not only about Judy, maybe for the first time, but also Leonard Cohen and all the other folks that were involved, some other great photos that she shared. Glad she cropped that one. She had that wonderful story about that one. Beautiful one there with her daughter. Again, really a fascinating, it almost sounds like a movie, doesn't it? It really does sound like a movie. One of those movies where you have this experience of a lifetime to go. There's Miranda and Leonard Cohen there. And there's George. She talked about just one of those, and there's Judy. One of those things that people dream of, sometimes like when you talk about backpacking Europe or driving across the United States in an RV or something and taking a look at the beauty and splendor of America, the Grand Canyon and all the beautiful things, or wherever, you go. She gets a chance to go back to this very magical place, a place that became very magical for her in 1973 and then again in 75 and subsequently years after, and stayed in touch with Leonard Cohen and Mariana until their passings just months apart, really just a few years ago. A whole new story, right? Something you didn't maybe know about Leonard Cohen, and of course our author as well. Sherry says, in Kansas, I agree. I think this would definitely make a wonderful movie. I agree. And Merlin is cheering. And Jane in Sweden says, lovely Westy. Yeah, everybody loves when the animals are brought on to the attention. You got a chance to see her chair too. We see so many empty chairs when the guests have to get up and grab something. Now you saw Judy's chair, and that's a heck of a chair. Juanita says, interesting episode. Thanks, Jim. My pleasure. My pleasure to have this series for all of you here on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Hey, want to let you know we have we received a box from Kathleen Walker. Kathleen, you're watching in New York. The box arrived. I know this is this box that from the birthday in September, that you were very concerned about. Well, we got the box today. It arrived. We got it. Very excited. We're going to open that. Probably try to do it on the air, maybe on a pop-up show. And one of our previous guests, movie star, who was a guest on our show month ago, maybe month and a half ago, sent another cast member, the cast of characters that are here, the George Burns, Jeannie, Casper, Jimmy the Clown, Silver the dog, who we got when we were in Europe, Linlin the panda, Gilligan. There's a brand new cast member joining the JMS Levity squad of the cast of characters. Came in a box, came from Hollywood, and this person said on the air, I'm going to send you one of those. I'm going to send you that. And that person, that Hollywood celebrity and now friend, lived up to their word and sent it. And we're going to debut that coming up soon, probably on a quick pop-up show, maybe when we open up Kathleen's box. So we'll try to see if somehow we can squeeze in a pop-up show in the next day or so. So look for that. Again, we don't usually announce the pop-up shows. Sometimes we'll do it but we won't do it. You usually don't announce them like 2 days, 3 days ahead because it's a pop-up show. So maybe sometimes a couple of hours ahead we'll do it. It's really based on my schedule and when I can do the pop-up shows, but we like to do those. So we'll try to see if we can squeeze one in because we got to open up Kathleen's box and also this other package that came from Hollywood with a new JMS, Jim Masters show cast of character member, which I think is really, really cool. So good stuff. All right, gang, we love it. And in Athens, Greece, your daddy was stationed in the Air Force. Is that where this place is, or am I off the map? Good question, huh? So she was asking, she's still there. She was asking she said her daddy was stationed in Athens, Greece in the Air Force. Is that where this place is, or is she off the map? But it wouldn't be there because if it's the Air Force, there would need to have the airstrip, right?
Yeah, there was a big Air Force base in Athens, right outside of Athens. It was called Hellinikon. And we used to get the Armed Forces radio, which was the only real English language program that you could get on Hydra, from Hellinikon Air Force Base. And then during one of the many periods of time where the Greeks were not very happy with the Americans, they closed down the base. There still are 2 other Air Force bases in the interior of Greece, but Hydra is a tiny island. It only has 2,500 people, and there's no airstrip at all. I would say it was probably Hellinikon.
Probably, yeah. See there, you got your educational lesson from Judy Scott as well. You've developed a real appreciation for Greek culture, history, and probably it's enhanced your knowledge of it all greatly, hasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love all of it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, dinner and beer time for you, Judy. You've earned it. You sang for your supper tonight. We'll see you again soon. Take care again.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, gang, we're going to get ready to wrap up. Thanks for all the great comments. You guys are the best. Jen Berry says, thank you, Judy and Jim. You are very, very welcome. Always good to see you as well. Jen is Zen there in Allentown, Pennsylvania. There's over 500 plus episodes and counting at the time of this show. If you watch this 6 months from now, there's hundreds more probably. But enjoy them all. Binge watch. You see some really cool shows and great episodes, even from the very beginning, and how this show has grown and expanded exponentially. And thanks to everybody who has been telling everybody about our series, which is quite unique, and talking it up on Instagram and Twitter at Jim Masters TV. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Jim Masters TV. Feel free to follow and like and all the rest. And Facebook is Jim Masters TV. Our YouTube channel is Jim Masters TV. And we love it if you guys could show it some levity and subscribe to Jim Masters TV. We would absolutely love that. And when you subscribe, look what happens. The word subscribe. It turns from red to gray, and you are subscribed, and there's no cost when you subscribe. I don't know why they use the word subscribe, but it should be like follow or something. Just shows that you want to keep abreast of what's going on with our amazing series, and because we do something special every single day. And also make sure, if you want to be notified, because I know some of you said, well, gee, I didn't get a notification about this show or that show, because sometimes we do them at different times. We're generally 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, but sometimes we do shows like today. It was earlier, and sometimes we do some earlier shows. So, and I'm glad to see everybody here and everybody that will watch this show later. So to keep abreast of that, make sure you click that little bell icon so you are notified. You get a little ding or trigger when we're coming on the air live as well. So also, we would love it if you give this episode a thumbs up. Give it a thumbs up and a nice hearty like. That would be fantastic. Give it a like. That's Jim Masters TV. In this episode and any of the episodes that you enjoy of our Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series. And leave a comment for us. I know you guys love to comment. Don't worry about, the comments that come in during chat. That we love all of those. Those are fantastic. We love that. We love that. Christine thinks that she thinks she knows who that person is. Maybe not, because we actually received several things. So my lips are sealed until we say what it is. Going to keep you guys on the edge of your seats. Kathleen says, can't wait. Yes, Merla. Some of these pop in just randomly like that. Can't wait for you to open it. And everybody says, we'll see you soon. Have a great night. Good night, all hugs. Good stuff. You guys are great. Kathleen and Merlin, and Christine and Juanita and Sherry and Jen and Joan and Mary and everybody that's here, and those who will be watching, and of course Jane as well, and those who will be watching, Linda, Odell, just saying all the names through here, and Juanita, everybody, and of course Dawn as well, who was there. Some of you say you can't see Dawn's comments, but she's there, and Toby in-house as well, Toby and Sherry and everybody that's watching now live, and those who will watch later on in the archives. We love it. You guys are the best. We're going to scoot out. We're going to have some dinner. It's about 10 to 8 in the evening. Judy's having her beer and getting ready for spaghetti and meatball dinner. Doesn't that sound good? Getting hungry. Good night, all. Sweet dreams, everyone. Hugs. You too, Sherry. And good stuff. We love you all. Thanks for being with us in this episode of the Jim Masters Show Live. We'll be back again. Check us out for our next episode. Want to let you know we've got some amazing guests. Before we go, we might as well show you. It's on YouTube. You can see some of the guests that are coming up. Some really cool people are coming up. On Saturday, we have award-winning multi-instrumentalist, singer-songwriter Ted Wolfer is joining us. That's going to be amazing. That's Saturday. Now, that's at a special time. It's earlier. It's 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. All right. So that's an early show for us this Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, live. On Monday from General Hospital, yes, he plays Elijah Crow on General Hospital, a prolific actor. He was also in Clarence, Sean Saves the World with Sean Hayes on NBC, Law and Order, and he played O.J. Simpson. And so much more. Chicago Med, you name the TV show, lots of movies. Also, he does voiceover for a lot of the Minecraft video games. Yep. Dan White is going to be with us on Monday. We're really looking forward to that. And on Tuesday, well, actually, we've got a lot of guests next week. We have a couple of shows that are on in the afternoon and in the evening, folks. Double levity. But on Tuesday, we have journalist and author and blogger Melissa Braverman. She has an incredible book. It's called Notes from a Single Gal in the City. That's right. Talking about dating and mating, living in the big city. This is her new book out, Notes from a Single Gal in the City. And it's going to be really terrific. It's really, she has been compared to, is it Katie, who was on Sex and the City? Remember Katie on Sex and the City? The series Sex and the City with Sarah Jessica Parker and the whole lot. Melissa Braverman has been compared to her, but for real and in the flesh in New York City. Melissa is going to be with us on Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That's going to be a fun show. So get your love questions, romance questions, relationship questions, dating questions, whatever. Lined up, loveities, because she's going to be with us on Tuesday. And even if you're not dating, you're in your own relationship, or you've been married for 50 years, whatever it is, it's just going to be a fun show. All right, so let's check out a couple more comments here. I always say goodbye and then more comments come in, so we want to address them. Christine says, thanks for this wonderful show with Judy. I really enjoy listening to Judy's interesting stories of her life. In the next show, Saturday at 1 p.m. Yes, 1 p.m. Unless we do a pop-up. We may do a pop-up tomorrow, but the next one scheduled is Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And levity to all. Absolutely. We got a busy, busy day on the air tomorrow, and we have to do a lot of production for this show and booking. And we got to catch up with everything we have to do with all these shows we have coming up. We need a day to get everything together. We're starting to get caught up here where everything is catching up with us. So we need a full day to work on what we have to do with our series here. And then I'm on the air tomorrow as well in radio and television. So busy, busy, busy day tomorrow. That's Friday, of course. Lisa Rodrigo smiles. Gabriella loves Minecraft. Good stuff. Yes. So next show is on Saturday. But again, anybody who's watching, that's for the live audience. But for those of you who are watching this right now and it's not live, stay with us on our YouTube channel because there's another episode of our show coming up. There's another past episode coming up. You know, we always mention the live audience, but I know many, many people watch this later on. So I want to make sure we address those who watch later that we have this episode now, but if you stay right here on Jim Masters TV on our YouTube channel, there's another episode that comes up and another over 500 episodes right here at Jim Masters TV that you can check out. You know, sometimes there's these end screens and different things that can pop up pointing you to the next episode. We don't have that, you know, sort of installed yet, but you can just stay right here on Jim Masters TV and you'll see past episodes, anything that you missed. They are all archived for you on our YouTube channel to make it convenient, one right after the other. Good stuff. All right, gang. We will talk to you again on the next episode. Thanks for being with us. It's dinner time for us. Thanks one more time to our very special guest, Judy Scott, for joining us. And again, the book, Leonard, Marianne and Me. Check it out. You're going to love it. For all of us here, thanks for being with us. We love you guys. Jim Masters here. Thank you for your time this time. Till next time on the Jim Masters Show Live. You guys be well. Take care. Enjoy. And of course, as we always say, a few more things we say before we go. We have long goodbyes. Don't forget to smile. Don't forget to share the levity. Don't forget to find your Zen place. Of course, I love the ocean, swimming, surfing, boogie boarding, sailing it, floating in it. I'm always near it. We're just a couple blocks from it. That's the Atlantic Ocean out east on Long Island in New York. And also my career and work in television, radio, stage, and film is also very Zen for me as well. So find your Zen place. And I like cycling and tennis and baseball and music and writing and food and landscaping and a whole bunch of stuff. Our channel is Jim Masters TV. That's the channel you're watching. Channel dedicated to entertaining, informing, educating, and inspiring. We love doing it for all of you. Be well, gang. We're going to take off. And Kathleen says, much levity to you. And yes, Christine, our goodbyes are like Act 2. See you all. We'll see you again soon as well. We may have a pop-up show tomorrow if I can squeeze one in that really busy, busy day. Busy production day tomorrow for this show and booking. And we got a lot of guests lined up and a lot of production and some cool things we're doing with the show that we've got to really pay heed to, catch up on, and I'm on the air on television and radio tomorrow in my professional work. So it's a busy, busy day. Wow. I don't think I'm going to talk for another 4 hours now. We're going to eat dinner and maybe I'll have a beer like Judy. I'll toast you all. Oh yeah. Maureen isn't here, but we've got the Mr. Levity. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? See, it says Mr. Levity, hashtag Masters Mantra. Today we have in our hands, Maureen will probably watch this later. She's still at work at the hospital in Arizona. So, and she likes actually when we do the shows later because she can get home and be a part of it. But today we did it earlier. Let's see. Will it go there better? Oh, there you go. Mr. Levity. And then it says, there you go. Hashtag Masters Mantra. This, of course, came in from This is just some flavored water, which after talking this long tastes pretty spiffy about now. So it's the Mr. Lovety glass, hashtag master's mantra, with love from Maureen in Arizona. You guys have sent mugs and you've sent glasses and all kinds of cool things. And I'm a mug and glass person. So we try to rotate them, as much as we can on each episode and show them. This one from Maureen in Arizona, one of our faithful Loveties, who loves our show and we love her. Have a great dinner, Jim. Thank you, Jane. You can get to bed early tonight, Jane, or a little earlier, because I know it's already still late into the hour in Sweden. And cheers from Juanita. You too can also call it a night a little bit earlier today as well. Thanks, gang. We're going to scoot out of here. You're watching the Jim Masters Show live on YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. We love you all. Take care. Be well. And we'll see you soon. Cheers.